it'll be big in reruns, so.
Yeah. Okay, we have our Thursday, May 5th, 2022 Planning Board meeting. Start with board business, I guess. Board member input, anything? Has anybody got anything?
Nope.
So CPC met sometime right before a town meeting to approve the $20,000. I was not able to make that meeting, but maybe Bartlett can provide an update on that vote.
I was late for it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think they did.
Voted for the $20,000.
Yeah, I think that's a done deal.
Yeah, for the tennis courts.
For the study, to find a
study.
place to put.
Yes.
Put the tennis courts.
Why? And it's gonna take them 10 minutes when they sit down to do it.
I heard it was, Cooper Farms is pretty much, okay.
So that's all.
That's all you got. Bartlett, do you have anything from the Affordable Housing Trust? Oh, I did speak, just to get to that, I did ask Myron to follow up with Mr. Guthrie to find out when the disposition of the building's gonna be. He hasn't got back to you yet, has he?
I haven't asked again. The last time we were having the discussion, it was as soon as the town decided what we wanted to do with it, and we're ready to do something with it, he'd be ready to turn it over.
Okay.
So it looks like they're putting a septic system in at the Cooper,
Yeah.
old Cooper house?
Oh,
Okay.
at the old Cooper House? No, that's
Yeah.
not ours
That's
anymore.
not, oh, you sold that or how?
No, we worked a deal out with them to take the house and give us $350,000 for the Affordable Housing Trust, I
Okay.
think is what we got.
Okay.
And the Fields kept it, yeah.
But Guthrie is going through permitting for the septic system for the farmhouse at Dhcd.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I didn't mean to, do you have anything else?
I don't think so, no.
The only other thing I have is I reached out to Ricky for 550 King Street and asked him for our next meeting, which is next Thursday, to bring us a couple of different scenarios out there. We've never looked at what will happen if the buildings stay. So I asked him to do a build-out for if one or two of the buildings stay, what that would look like, so that we at least have a chance to look at it. Because he said all along he's going to knock it down, but what happens if somebody comes in and, wants the building? So I want to be able to see that. I asked, what else did I ask him for? So he's moving town offices, because now we're talking that, we're going to be discussing that on Thursday. He's going to put it behind the Tuttle House, and he's going to donate the Tuttle House to the town of Littleton as well. So the town offices and the Tuttle House as well. So he's going to have that on a plan, and what else did I ask him for? I don't know. I asked him for a couple of more plans, just so we had more stuff to look at, just so that we could see everything, so before we send them marching to start doing traffic and everything else. I just felt there was different scenarios. It makes sense to look at all the different scenarios that could possibly be there. There's one more. I can't remember what it was, but so we should have something by next Thursday for that. I got nothing from the affordable. I think we're good with that. I think that's it. Anything? Oh, you're talking about his intention is to leave the green space. I don't know if the tree that you're talking about, is that outside of the green space?
The which?
Aren't we talking about?
Oh, the trees? It was a question, I think we have people in town who've been working on the common for trees. They should weigh in.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the trees that could be transplantable are not worth transplanting.
All right, but most of the green space he's leaving.
Yeah.
Is this the tree that's the Revolutionary War tree? Is that? Did we?
Well,
hear
that
about
one is going under their present plan.
Is it really a Revolutionary War
I
tree?
have no idea. If you say it is, it is.
I didn't say it was.
And actually, I would recommend, if we're going to
It's
have
a
a discussion
pretty-
about the project, that we wait until the public hearing.
All right, I'm just giving you board member update, that's
Yeah.
all. You're such a stickler. Okay, so that's it. That's it for us. We're 7:35. We have a continued public hearing, planning board.
We had draft minutes from March 3rd, March 31st, and April 7th.
Oh, yeah. Has anyone looked at them?
Yeah.
Are they all fine? Yeah, the minutes.
Where I had one comment, if I can find it, where we talked about the transfer development rights. It was a little unclear as to what I meant about setting the zoning so that developers would have an incentive to increase it. It's not just plain high density, it's a medium density that we can increase.
What date was that, Bartlett?
I think that was the 31st.
The 31st? Here's the notes from the 31st.
Okay.
The only thing I remember reading about TDR was on this one.
Maybe
But-
maybe it was on that one. I don't know.
While you look through these, the one comment I had was on March 31st, item number 2. It says continued public hearing, shared driveway, special permit, 9 Air Road. It says the meeting reopened, but then it doesn't say that we continued the meeting. So
Okay,
that
thank
might
you.
be something important to make sure we document.
Thank you.
Okay. We can come back to all this when we're
Okay.
done with them.
All right, well, sure. All right. All right, so we have 6:35, continue public hearing, 9 Air Road. We can continue that with not taking any input about it till the 12th, correct?
Okay, yeah, so the meeting of Thursday, May 12th, we'll be back in this room.
Okay.
Thank you to Park and Rec for rearranging some of their activities that they have going on.
Good.
So, let me talk you through this a minute. If we start the meeting are able to start the meeting at 6:15, it'll be the first board meeting after elections. You could start with board elections if you wish, do board business, and then public hearing for 9 Year Road and A&R at 6:20.
Are we
Work
that,
for you?
we that pressed for time?
It's a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay, all right. We can do that.
Okay, so then that would be continued public hearing for 9 Air Road at
No,
6:20.
It is the 31st.
Can you be here early?
I can be here, yeah.
Okay.
If you want to do it at 6 or,
Okay.
Has established high
Okay.
density. for
All right,
the,
everybody's good for 6?
Do you want
What?
to do 6, well, I was presuming 6:15 start.
Okay, 6:15, we're all good with that?
That work?
Next Thursday?
Next week,
Yeah.
Next Thursday, yeah.
6:15.
Myron says 6:15.
I could push it back, we'll just be later in the evening.
no, we're saying push it forward to
I'm
like
sorry.
6, yeah.
No, is 6:15 good?
I can make 6. I mean, whichever.
Yeah. I can make
6
6.
is, yeah.
We have a long. it'll
I'll be
a
done
long
with cartoons by then, we're good for 6.
Okay, so then the continued hearing for 9 Air Road could be, like, you want to try 6:15, 6:10?
6:15. Give us 15 minutes to do our stuff,
Okay,
okay? Okay, 6:15.
thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, 6:40, continue public hearing, 55, oh, that one we're actually gonna talk about. All right, let's deal with, okay. Wait, you only gave him 5 minutes?
The 6:45 public hearing is going to be open in
I
immediately.
know, but you only gave him 5 minutes.
Should only take 4.
Okay. All right, let's have our informal, 550 Newtown Road.
Good evening, Matt Waterman with Land Tech Consultants, and I don't know if Marion will pull it up on the screen. We're here for 555 Newtown Road for a pre-application review. It's a 16-acre parcel located on the west side of Newtown Road. And on this plan, Hawthorne Lane comes in, or Hawthorne Drive comes in on the bottom of the screen. It's in the southwest corner of Littleton, right where Omega Way is, across the street. The property is owned residential, or R. It's surrounded mostly by A&R lots along Tehadawon and a couple lots on Newtown Road. And there's open space parcels to the north and west that are the Conservation and the Conservation Trust. Omega Way across the street is zoned Industrial A. And then there's also the water tower that's up, that's shown in the upper right corner of this plan, in the northwest corner of the lot, the Newtown Hill Water Tower. This planning board approved this as a definitive subdivision back in 2008. It was 4 lots. That subdivision approval has since expired. It included a 530-foot long road. It had construction waivers for sidewalks and kind of consistent with what I think this board typically grants. Nothing drastic though as far as waivers. And it included a 9-acre open space parcel, which in the decision included them deeding it to the Conservation Trust. Tonight we're here, we've got new owners. It's been picked up by Hemingway Ventures LLC, who's the applicant, and Steve Marsh is with me tonight representing them. It's 3 A&R lots, so we've scaled it down from 4 lots to 3 lots. They will all have frontage on Newtown Road. We're here tonight to just get some feedback from the board before we submit any formal plans and do some hard engineering. There will be also with the A&Rs, we would plan on submitting a shared driveway special permit and an open space development plan. What that'll do is kind of give us the ability to adjust the lot sizes, kind of generate a mechanism to protect the open space, which in this development, instead of it being 9 acres, we're expecting it closer to 10 and a half acres. The common drive would be, the goal with this development is to try and minimize some of the disturbance, some of the clearing, some of the construction cost. And so with that shared driveway, we're able to take advantage of some of the less restrictive than a subdivision road with a full turnaround, which was previously approved by the board. So the common drive would obviously be in conformance with your standards for the common drive standards. And it would have the turnouts and a T turnaround at the end for first responders. That would be approximately 725 feet long, and it would include the turnouts. And we expect that the open space parcel would be conveyed into a conservation restriction. Stormwater, with the previous plan, there was a lot of focus on the stormwater. Dr. Chang worked diligently back in the day, and we had a connection out onto Newtown Hill Road for just storms, the larger storm events over 100 years. I expect that the drainage would be similar. The goal would be to obviously bring it to current standards, best management practices. I know you have a stormwater bylaw. Obviously, we would be in conformance with that. And then the goal would be to minimize, again, I said it before, but to really try and minimize the disturbance up on the hill to help prevent the amount of stormwater and impacts that this development has up on this hill. We submitted a draft yield plan, just kind of thinking forward a little bit with the requirements of the open space development bylaw. And that was the same plan that was submitted and approved by this board for the 4-lot subdivision. We condensed it and just put it on one page, so it was kind of similar to the previous plan, just for comparison purposes. But we'd be happy to answer any questions, and I think if we got the blessing of the board, we'd start working on preparing a formal submission.
You guys have any questions for us?
What was the original date of the decision?
2008,
Yeah.
I believe.
Oh, so it's been a while.
Yeah. So I'll give you a little history on it, because I was on.
He was.
I
He signed the
was.
decision.
Yes.
That's really surprising, Mark.
What, that I was there? I know. It's a very steep slope to get up there. There was a lot of drainage issues. The neighbors came out in droves for it, which I'm assuming they're probably going to again. The people
Or
even
you mean against it?
against it because of the water coming off the hill. We put some detention bases in. I think it's probably better if you do less disturbance up there, but people across the road were concerned, people were complaining that even now, without even building anything up there, they were having water problems, so we took that in consideration when we did the drainage out there. There was a detention, wasn't there a detention pond, if I remember correctly, a detention pond at the very bottom of it to try to catch as much
Well,
of
there
it?
was a pond at the top, but then at the bottom, we had a series of water quality inlets that treated the water prior to being discharged, but there ends up with a large cut into the hill to kind of bring it to the max slope or the minimum standards, if you will. And so there was a lot of effort on that entrance and working to make sure that whatever was done wouldn't impact Newtown Road or the abutters that directly abut.
Right, because they were all concerned about it coming straight down the hill at them, so that was the challenge,
It is, I drove up there, it is steep
It's steep.
on the right side of the road as you go up.
yeah. So that was the biggest issue, and that's probably why nothing was ever done, because it was expensive to build that road. The open space was gonna be donated to conservation, or, because it butts up to all the open space that's behind the water tower, so that's nice, and it's nice to see they're continuing to do that. I don't know what else to tell you, but it's just, it's a tough site, and it's probably gonna be a tough site, but, it's gonna be a challenge because of the slope, so. It'll be interesting to see what gets engineered out there. you know.
Yeah, I mean, the water issue is definitely big. And so what was the reason, do we know what the reason is that nothing ever did get built? I mean,
The road was probably too expensive. I know a lot of
That's
people,
exactly what it was.
a lot of people looked at it. It was just such an expensive road to build.
Yeah, I
It
got
didn't make
calls
sense.
over the years, various people that looked at it.
You
never heard
didn't,
back.
you weren't the original designer, were you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you were?
Me, myself, and I.
Oh, all right, so you were here and then Doug DeShane was here, right?
Yep, I believe so, yes.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so, okay, so you, well, how come I don't remember you? Maybe because I wanted to forget about this? you know?
There
Exactly.
was a 40B that was proposed on it too, remember?
And it did start off as a comprehensive permit, back when the permitting started, I believe in 2004.
Oh, really?
And
I
then
don't
the
know.
state denied that at the state
Yeah.
level. So they submitted their initial request to the state. I think they probably, I assume, went through the process of getting comments from the planning board selectmen. In my recollection, I didn't go through the paperwork, but I remember that they got denied at the state level.
Yeah,
And then they shifted gears to conventional permitting.
right. So they got I thought it was more. I thought it was 5 lots, but you could be right, it was 4.
Yeah.
4. And it was just too expensive to build the road, even back then, yeah. So, and that's probably still gonna be the challenge. That and the neighbors. You remember, a lot of neighbors came out
Yep.
for that, yeah. So, anyway, so,
So I did have a conversation with the water department and with the conservation agent on their interest in open space on this property. The water department is extremely interested as a possible site for replacement of the Newtown Hill water tank in, 50 years when they're gonna need to replace that. And then water department will be looking at likely having to replace some of the open space that they'll use for a well site at Cobb Pond. So this could be a site for that replacement open space. And conservation remains interested in seeing open space out here protected because it does connect to the Sprong, which shows up on the right-hand side of the screen. And
is
to-
Mrs. Sprong still alive?
I couldn't tell you.
I remember she was alive when we did this and she came out.
I don't think she is.
I figured, she was old, she was elderly then, yeah.
And these trails connect ultimately to the train station.
Yeah, it
So
goes
that's-
through her property,
And
which,
it's a really great spot to get 9 or 10 acres. I mean, it should be a priority of all the town committees.
And we could certainly talk to the water department and see if there's any goals that we can accomplish, protecting as much open space as possible and reserving maybe a piece of land, obviously,
Yeah,
that we have
I've
to
reached
talk
out to
about.
them.
And we can certainly look into that and try and include any goals. I mean, they have a pretty small square up there of land,
And
so.
you can see in the upper There's
Yeah, you can see that little square.
the tower is there, and presumably they wouldn't need more than that for.
Who owns the field? I always thought they owned the field, it was conservation.
No,
owns the
no,
field.
that's
Conservation owns that.
Conservation owns.
They
the
have an
field.
access road
Yeah, I know. that.
over that, but I think they only own the one little parcel.
Yeah, the water department, the
But
conservation.
then there's been the addition of the Smith property off of Old Boxborough Road?
No, the Williams. property.
Williams property, and that's just
On the other
marvelous,
side of this.
you know, yeah. So
Right,
you have the
exactly.
Williams, the Newtown Hill, then, you know.
So the challenge would be what you come up with and if you can keep the neighbors happy.
Yep.
And I suggested do open space special permit and A&Rs because that worked very well for the Cobb development. It set aside significant open space for the town and the community, while a limited number of house lots.
Well, the nice thing is, a lot of the houses that complain are not gonna have anything behind them. It's gonna be Bradbury, which you own now, so
Yeah.
that won't be an issue.
The Bradburys,
Yeah, that's
They
part
moved,
of
Right,
this.
so that, we control that one.
oh, wow.
No, they never lived there, it was a vacant lot.
Yeah. it's a
Oh,
vacant lot.
I'm thinking of the Bradfords, which are
Oh,
the
oh.
people on Newtown that are the abutters, yeah.
This is
No,
Bradbury.
Bradbury.
Have a lot there and it's access, just makes it a little easier to do it, so.
So I must, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was gonna say, I think I must have my directions mixed up. Because in the letter it says the single-family resident lots to the south. I thought the single-family lots were to the north of this particular lot, or no?
I think that is,
Well,
Go
there's a
back
north-
up to the
there's a north
post,
arrow at the
north
top.
is,
yeah,
North is to the plan right,
Yeah.
so they're to the south and east.
South is Newtown.
All the single-family homes are kind of border where the frontage along, either Newtown Road or Tehadawon. They're all kind of Form A&R lots that were,
Yeah, I'll
created
have to
some time
drive
ago.
by it
Yeah.
when it comes time. Okay.
Yep.
So I wanted to ask the process that Lauren had cited in her cover sheet. So this was this was an open space subdivision for 4. Now we're turning it into an open space for 3. And then Lauren recommended then an A&R to replace the prior subdivision. So can you explain that part to me, because that's where I'm,
the open space special permit is the same for whether you do a subdivision or an A&R. And then the way you actually divide the land is either definitive subdivision or A&R. So before it was open space special permit and definitive subdivision, this would be open space special permit and A&R.
The only problem with that is you don't have enough frontage to do A&Rs.
In open space special permit, there is, that's what waives the zoning requirements. No minimum lot frontage, no minimum lot areas.
But you
So
still
that
have-
what gives you if the planning board chooses, that's what gives you the right to sign that A&R.
But
Without
doesn't it-
needing
What about the odd shape? Don't they have to adhere to the odd shape? I thought they did. I thought we made,
for the density yield plan,
I thought we did it on the other stuff too.
on the density yield plan. you would.
So this, because the shared driveway would take up less space than a full-on road, that would be the advantage.
Yeah, and the disturbance on 3 lots instead of 4 house lots between the 2 of them.
The only thing is we do need, obviously, peer review and we need to figure out the, right.
You need the full application. and
Well, that's
go through
why
it.
it's really, you're splitting hairs whether it's an A&R or subdivision.
Right, it's just the process of, because the open space special permit, you're gonna need all the engineering details for that.
and it'll give you the authority with a special permit.
Well, we can decide that, unless you want to decide it now as we move forward.
He's looking for some direction on,
So the question is, do you want to do a full-blown subdivision, or you want to do it as an open space plan with A&R and the lots out once we're done with it?
If I may, if we're gonna go conventional subdivision, we may look to get extra lots with that Bradbury piece. Just so you know, which would also impact that open space up at the top. So you may end up losing, you know, we're gonna come in with probably 5 lots or 6 lots or
So if you
something.
do the conventional, I
Correct,
mean,
yeah, that's why
we'll look
we're
for-
looking for, you know, look, we've already know that we can get 4, in my opinion, we could get 4 lots. It's already been established with the board. That's why we're doing less houses, less road work, less disturbance, willing to talk to, you know, water department and conservation, increase the amount of yield for the town. It's a
Right,
great
so-
piece of property. So that was the strategy behind
Okay.
us coming in for that versus regular subdivision.
All right, so what do you think of that? So we're trading a more designed road for a shared driveway and only having 3 lots up there,
Well, obviously, having fewer lots should make the neighbors
we hope.
hopefully a little
I've
bit,
met some of them
More
have come
agreeable.
out because they have issues, but the issues already exist
yeah.
now.
I mean, that would be my biggest concern, is just that over time, we don't increase that number, but rather.
So
keep it
let's
at
talk
3.
about these neighbor issues. So the slope's there, so the
Correct.
water exists.
Yes.
So theoretically, your work could mitigate some of the water coming off that hill.
That's exactly right. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Okay.
think.
Well, some of the concern was the fact that you're taking all the trees out to put the houses in, nothing's gonna, the vegetation, that was the talk 18 years ago, whatever it was, that it's gonna be faster coming off, and that's why we put something on the bottom.
And that's right, and that's exactly right. So we were aware of that, and that's why we decided to go this route versus doing, you know, regular subdivision. We'd be in there clear, the place would be a big field, you know, during the construction, it could make it worse, temporarily anyway.
Bartlett,
This
you
is a
had that
really-
earlier, what do you think?
Well, I can see that water would flow down onto the Tehadawon houses, but I think, I mean, I like the idea of the houses up at the top of the hill. I think that's the right place for it.
Yeah, they're kind of midway, they're not way up near the top.
Oh, they're sort of around the hole where the old house was.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, so
Exactly, that's exactly.
just where that dirt road ends now.
Yes, yep.
But the lower part, I mean, you're bringing your driveway down closer to Hadawon in part, and that's gonna,
Actually, I don't, is it that much different, Matt, from,
it's pretty close, but it's a
Yeah.
little bit off.
from the existing road you're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, it does. It turns a little bit when you get up towards the midpoint where that big kind of U-shaped portion of the driveway.
Yeah.
But I think it is close to it at where it meets Newtown Road.
Is that the advantage of having Bradbury's piece there? It gives you a little more to get down lower in the
Yeah,
slope?
right now that there's no design element that includes that parcel, but there's certainly options if needed.
It's our plan also not to tie into town water.
Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah,
You don't want
unless I
town
can do
water?
it off of the back road. We have rights actually to use that access in the back, and then there's a driveway easement that runs right next door to one of those houses, and access, and so, like I said, there are other options with this.
So you're talking about the upper house, there's a,
Yeah, there's a house to the, is that?
I mean, I can see on the plan, there's a dash line, which is that.
Yeah,
where
so
the
that would be
easement
it, yeah, and then if you
Yeah.
follow, yeah,
So not using that easement
not gonna be
should
using
be a
it.
big advantage
To those people.
For those people.
right,
yeah.
exactly, and then the road access up to the water tower, we believe that we have the right to use that too. There's language in there that said we can use it for the way roads and things are used in the town of.
Well, the guy who owns the property where the barn is, he's been before our board
Yeah.
and making noise about, there's no access, blah, 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 it's
Right.
mine, and, you know, so
Right.
you may have come across that.
Yeah, I have, actually.
Yeah.
So, but we have no intention of using that. Again, you know, we don't want to be digging up the road to do water lines or anything like that unless the water department, they already told me that, the electric department told me I can tie in off the electric, off of that road that goes up to the water
Yeah,
tower,
right.
which is great. Evidently, it's already stubbed. So that's great. So when we're doing the road, it's basically, you know, I'm not doing water lines. We'd be doing drainage, certainly.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't be doing, you know, underground electric either. So that would also help minimize the disturbance for the shared driveway.
How about this?
Yes,
How about we start with the open space A&R, go that way,
sure.
and as long as the drainage, sorry.
I thought that was
As long as we're gonna obviously send it,
Right.
if there's no big
Something,
flags,
right.
if the drainage
Okay.
works and everything else, we continue that way. That way,
Yeah, one of the things that I was going to suggest to Mr. Marsh is perhaps we actually do a site visit on this one because it's a little
Absolutely,
tough
very
to tell, and then also maybe even invite some of the neighbors. So
Sure.
that way it allows everybody to take a look, hear what
Right.
you have to say about it, and where the mitigation will take place.
okay. I just think it makes more sense to try to go with the, as Maren has suggested, go with the open space, A&R it. If we're gonna get a decent road with some decent drainage, that's not gonna upset the neighbors, and continue that way rather than do the full-blown subdivision like we did before.
It's a matter of proportion to build a big, huge road on that site for 4 houses. And
Right.
even if it's 5 or whatever, it just
Right.
seems like,
Oh,
well, no, but they're saying that if we don't approve, if we don't go with this thing, they'll build a road and build more houses.
well, if we have to do the road's gonna be extremely expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
like Mark said, that years ago, it was over $1 million years ago.
Yeah,
To do that road now, everything that's going on would be, close to double that.
And I think the common drive gives you that flexibility to be more cost effective than a road. If you're starting up here and trying to get waivers down, it ends up being more costly. And it-
So I want to make sure that Jeff and I are on the same page. So how many homes are going to be built here?
3.
Three.
If we do it.
3.
Okay,
But if we push them into the road option, there will be more.
There might be, we don't even know
We
that,
don't
but.
know.
Right.
But that was what they would work toward.
We know that it's likely that we would get at least 4, and picking up the Bradbury piece, we think would allow us, and then we would have to explore those options of the access and through that back way where that guy has the farm. We don't want to do that. This just makes so much sense. 3 lots, driveways, town gets a piece. We'll work with the water department for them. I'm not going to try to do a lot of excavation to get up there with utilities. It just makes sense.
So I think we should at least start that way and let Greenway in on how they think if the drainage will actually work and stuff like that before.
They're good at that. I've seen this, some of their recent write-ups for other
So why
projects.
don't we at least start that way? Are you okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
You all right with that?
And we're okay with the site walk whenever you're,
Yeah, why don't we,
we're available at your convenience.
Oh, I'm in Newtown Hill with my dog at
Okay.
least a couple times a week, and all I
do you
can
want to do
say
before the
is
12th or
tips.
after the 12th?
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I've been up there.
Yeah.
I can do it before, if we can set it up.
You don't have to do them all at the same time. I'm around, so it's,
Are they on for the 12th or no?
No. We don't have an application. This was the
Okay.
pre-application discussion.
So a site visit before the application then?
Yeah, all right, we'll just figure it that way. If we could, you want to set up the time now, you want
you can just call us.
to, all right, why don't we
think
figure out
everybody's got
when we
that.
can all get together, we'll get back to you. on
Yeah,
that.
we can communicate with Myron,
Yeah.
she can pull you guys and we're
So
flexible.
I've never gone up that driveway, but you could walk up that driveway, the existing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you can drive up it. Last time I was
Yeah,
up it.
wait, I drove up, yes.
I drove up.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just gotta get a good running start.
Okay, so why don't we do that then?
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your input.
Oh, you killed some time.
I killed some time, 6:45, 12 Monarch.
So actually, that's a public hearing, you get to continue.
We'll continue that site, what time are we continuing it to?
Okay,
Do we have to vote on all the continuances?
I would recommend it. Thank you.
So let's go
Go back to
back then,
9
yeah, so. I move that we continue the public hearing and planning board vote for the shared residential driveway special permit at 9 Air Road.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that we continue the hearing for the major commercial industrial use special permit, Aquifer and Water Resource District special permit, site plan review for 1 and 2 Monarch Drive to
Thursday, May 12th at like 6:40. I mean, if we do 9 Air Road at 6:15, that and the A&R, then we have the Weber Village discussion at 6:30. I can't imagine that'll take 10 minutes. 6:40 for continued public hearing for Monarch Drive. Does that work?
Okay.
Okay.
6:40 PM. Sorry to interrupt. So 6:40?
No, it's okay. Let's have a second from someone.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, it's 7 o'clock, we have the Grimes Lane. Do you want to walk us through it, Myron? Do you know what's going on?
There's nobody here for it?
Probably not, it's,
The engineer called today and said unfortunately he had another commitment at this time. So if you choose to not do it tonight, you could move it to the meeting of the 12th. What we have is the A&R application and plan for a lot line revision. He explained that it's to avoid a wetland area. My guess is it's for the,
so he's basically moving Lot 3 closer to Lot 4B? so-
well, the frontage stays the same,
Yeah.
frontage point, and it's just,
A little bulge.
thank you.
I have no problem with this. We've gone
Yeah.
through this recently.
Yeah.
And
Does anybody really have a problem with it? It's just moving the
Can you
sidewalks.
extract more money from them for
We
doing
got
that?
70 grand out of them. Have we gotten any money out of them, by the way?
No occupancy permits yet.
Oh, okay. All right. I like your thinking, though. All right. I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't think we need to have them come in on the 12th, do you?
No, but I think that the applicant should always be here. This is their project.
Do you want to make them come in at
Well, how
1
many votes are needed for this?
3?
All right, well, I'm going to abstain, so you guys can vote for it if you want.
I'll vote yes.
Are you okay with this, Bartlett?
Yeah, you're just
All right.
moving the
I'll
line.
make, I'll entertain a motion to approve the lot line between 4B and 3B as amended on the plan.
I so move.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed or abstaining? Let the record show that Ms. Houston
Applicants
refused.
need to come in.
All right, I think we're done now. All right, so we have, can we at least do them and if somebody shows up, can we pick new times now, or is that gonna upset you, Myron?
Okay.
Pick whatever time you want.
Well, I'm thinking for the next one, the 242 Kingswood. So first of all, hold on, let me sign my name, then I'll talk about that very quickly. On advice of Ms. Hill, I spoke with the Attorney General's office to make sure that I didn't have a conflict of interest. I explained the situation, they agreed that I do not have a conflict of interest. I signed a disclosure statement for it and left it up to town clerk's office. So unless somebody really complains, or if somebody wants me off the discussion of 242 King Street, I will stay on unless you guys have a strong feeling one way or the other.
I'm not signing it.
You're not signing it,
That's
okay.
right. So,
So, 242 King Street, so you are no longer
I
the,
have no interest in it at all. I've sold, I've got my money, I've donated my money I've donated $200,000 from the proceeds of the sale of 242 King Street to the town of Littleton for recreational. I've been paid in full, I think I'd probably be
That's where the 200,000 came from.
from this, to the CPC, that was my donation.
okay.
I would feel more comfortable being on, only because I want to make sure they do, I think their plan is fine,
You would also theoretically know the land more intimately than the rest
Exactly.
of us.
so what their intention is to take the barn and the carriage shed down, and move the road over there and put the building right there, moving out. So it'll be closer to the highway, everything will be pushed towards the highway.
Will we
What
move
happens
forward
to the house?
Now, we are,
We can't
are-
be discussing it.
what?
We can't discuss
Well,
the,
I could just tell you, because it's not really part of this, is that there was the discussion to convince the water department to donate the house to veterans. It becomes a veterans house. So we talked about senior housing, but the issue with senior housing was seniors really want to live by
Stairs.
themselves, whereas veterans all kind of like watch out for each other. So the intention is to work on something like
So
that.
the house is part of the water department parcel, and
Right
they're
now.
figuring out what to do with it,
Well,
yeah.
they've expressed, Ms. Napoli approached them, and I did too, and Ms. Napoli did. And
Okay.
I think everybody we've talked to so far is thinking about that option, and it's not a bad option.
Right, and they wouldn't have a particular use for that house.
Yeah, I think they want to eventually sell the house once they're done with what they got, but I think this would be a better,
Yeah.
to let veterans, give it a veteran safe house, or whatever you want to call it, so.
Is the historic commission involved?
I don't think so, because it's not going to be knocked down or anything else like
Okay,
that.
well,
It's all,
the disposition of it might,
well, they'd just probably sell it as a residence if they did anything with it, but
How old is the house?
it's over 200 years old, it's been fully restored,
Okay.
9 fireplaces, just take a look at it. They did a nice job inside there. It's an antique colonial, it was the first post office in the town of Littleton. Back in the day, that was where the post office, the first post office was. It was owned by the Hartwells at one time. Trying to think what other history was there. Still has the Indian shutters on it that slide through so the arrows don't come through. That's still there. So it's all been preserved, and the water department is continuing to make sure. It has the first pool ever built in Littleton. How's that? Sandville built it like 50, 60 years ago. Anyway, all right, so we're continuing that to what time, Maren?
Let's see, so if we do Monarch Drive at 6:40, how long do you want to wait for that? And this one would be next.
How long's Monarch? And it's the first meeting. They're gonna just give us a brief overview. Give them a
7?
half hour? That much?
Okay, so 7:10.
All right, put this on for 7:10.
Right.
Last but not least, continue public hearing master plan for 550 King Street. Wanna,
Okay, and then in between there, we have the 410 Great Road development concept for reuse of the existing mill building. Yes.
he is, Mr. Collins died, so his Sven is coming to try to see how many units he can get out of us. So, when do you wanna put that in?
Well, how long do you want to leave for 242 King?
3 minutes? Oh, for 242
for
King?
410, I mean, he's gotta do the work.
I know, I know. Myron and I both keep telling him that, he still keeps wanting to come in
Yeah.
and try to get a number out of us. We're not gonna pull a rabbit out of
Let's say
that.
5.
5 minutes?
No, 5 units.
Yeah,
Mm.
okay. How much time do we set aside for 242? 30 minutes?
That's, yeah, if we do 30 minutes, then 410 Great Road would be at 7:40. And then we could do 550 King Street.
Why don't we give him 15 minutes at the most?
Okay,
I would sort of push everything up a little bit.
7:50.
Do you think we'll spend half an hour on Monarch Drive? For the first?
You want it?
I think we'll have a number of comments.
Okay.
And what else do we have on the agenda?
410 Great Road and then 550 King Street. So,
Okay, and then that's it for the night?
yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. In the old days, we stayed till 11, Myron. You guys would get
I've got a
soft.
6 o'clock flight the next morning.
We had,
My dad is in the Senior Olympics in Fort Lauderdale.
wow,
So
congratulations.
watch
What's he
it.
doing?
Does a lot of different things. He does 200 meter dash, the long jump.
Nice. How old?
He's 87.
Holy moly. God, so,
I'm there to maybe pick up the pieces.
all right.
all right, so I move that we continue the 7:45 public hearing, Aquifer and Water Resource District Special Permit Site Plan Review for 242 King Street to
Thursday, May 12th at 7:10 PM here.
Okay?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and last but not least, want to make the motion too, Anna?
Sure. I move that we continue the public hearing for the master plan development, Aquifer and Water Resource District, and sidewalk curb cut special permits for King Street Common, 550 King Street, from today, 8:15 PM to
7:50 PM on Thursday, May 12th, this weekend.
Oh, second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's it. So basically, we're done for the night. We don't have to stay on TV.
Well, no, actually, we need to make
Oh,
sure
yeah,
that Bartlett's
yes, let's
comments,
get-
and then we have some of our town planners' time.
Okay.
So Bartlett, did you want to confirm what change you'd like on March 31st?
Well, I just, yeah, clarification, March 31st, on page 2, transfer of development of rights. I would say instead of need to establish high-density zoning for TDR receiving areas, we need to establish some kind of a density that works with developers to give them an incentive.
You want to just use increased density?
Increase, yeah, I mean, you have to set it, you know, I don't know, with some
Non-specific.
number and then.
I agree with you, high density is not the term. That implies skyscrapers or
Right.
something.
Okay, yeah, how do you make that
I mean,
correction?
Okay, I mean, it's
That
just,
clarification.
All right, so we're good with minutes?
Yeah, so my change and his change on the 31st.
Okay.
So I move that we approve the minutes of Thursday, March 31st with the 2 amendments.
Second?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And then I move that we approve the minutes of Thursday, April 7th and Thursday, March 3rd as written.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's getting too efficient.
Good to get caught back up on those, thank you. Town planner minute, I'll see if I can do it in 30 seconds. I did update the Littleton Station page, and I added the response that Littleton sent to DHCD, the required community information form for MBTA communities. And I added that the next step for the Littleton is to, by December 31st of this year, is to submit to DHCD and get a reply back from them on whether or not Littleton feels like we comply with the MBTA requirements.
Oh, I have an update to that, okay? Mara and I met with the water department last Thursday. When did we meet?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Talk about 242 King Street, just the procedures going forward. And we also talked about Foster Street, the development we're proposing at Foster Street. Mara gave us an update of where we're at with the state. And the discussion was about the potential of tying Foster Street into the Littleton the sewage treatment facility. So I reached out to Robert Long to talk to him, to talk to the water department about the potential of using his property to increase the capacity of the water department and give him rights to having a sewage treatment plant there. And he's very interested in, they're gonna meet and talk about it. So that, which would help us, more capacity for the sewer that we just approved, and give him a lower cost septic alternative, so hopefully we get some more affordable housing down there. So the water department in this town will speak at some point, sometime.
So what would that look like? They would put the more additional leaching, and
Fields out there.
then use the treatment in the central spot, or, okay.
Yeah, it would
And,
be a secondary leaching area.
Secondary.
Secondary leaching area, okay.
And the talk is to either try to come maybe beside the highway if they can get that to work, which would be the easiest, or I don't know how he thought he was gonna get to,
Okay, for the piping, yeah. I mean,
Mm,
could be part of redoing
Foster Street.
Foster Street.
But the thought is to try to run it right down to the,
Yeah.
to the stand
And you
line,
could presumably have the parking lot above it or something.
The other thing is, I don't know if you know, Cindy sent it to us. So we now have a name and an address to talk to at the Life Care Center that's based in Boston. Who found it?
Yeah,
I don't know
it's a
what,
holding company that an attorney
yeah, I don't know if we'll
owns.
get anywhere with it, but at least we have somebody to talk to there as well,
And there's somebody else to reach out to.
like, moving forward.
Yeah, because both the 245 King Street, the Long property, and the Life Care Centers not test out, but look like they might be good potential leaching areas.
Leaching areas for sewer,
town
for
sewer.
the expand the sewer. And the other problem is getting sewer going, because if 550 King Street, you're gonna want it in a couple of years.
Well, Northern Bank,
Northern Bank too, for that matter, yeah. So,
12 Robinson.
well, who knows what's going there, but anyway, so I think that's about it, right? Okay, are we done for the?
Well, I have a couple questions.
Oh my God, for somebody who didn't want to stay, we're gonna let you leave early, now you have questions?
There you go. See
We
what
have to do it
happens?
on
See what
TV?
happens? You should have released me.
I should have let you, we did release you, we
I'm
told you,
kidding.
I don't.
So based on what everybody just conveyed, so when will DHCD decide if 550 King Street will satisfy the MBTA housing law, or some portion of it?
Well, the next step is for the town to apply to DHCD with the information on how we think we'll comply with the requirements. After that, then we'll get a response back. And that, we need to go through that process by December of this year. Nobody can apply yet because we don't have the final recommendations, the final guidelines. The draft guidelines, if we recall, the draft guidelines came out on December 15th.
Yeah.
They're working on finalizing those.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay. So in the, I think it was that link, it identified that we get a consultant procured by a state agency. So is that going to be Innocent Halverson?
That was our preference for what we would like to have.
Okay.
So it doesn't say we're getting anything, that was the town's
Preference.
Yes.
Okay, because I know who I do not prefer, so can we voice an opinion as to who we don't prefer?
Certainly, if we get to the point where we have some funds or access to a consultant. Yeah.
Okay, that would be great. Well, when that time comes, let's talk. Okay. My next question then is, given the tool that you mentioned, I think in the second one, to determine the multifamily minimum unit capacity, when you have the conversations with folks as part of this team, do you think you could bring up whether or not that model that's going to be run for the multifamily could also do anything to help with school children projections? Because we know that that has been mentioned, and we also know that that's something that comes up in other communities. So I'm thinking if they can include that as part of their model, perhaps that could also be helpful to other communities in addition to Littleton.
So from our first conversation on Wednesday, that would be well outside of the scope of what they're looking to do or what they're able to do.
Okay.
But the average unit size is 1,000 square feet. So it's not,
That's what they are looking for.
well, no,
An
that's not what
average.
they're looking for.
Okay.
That's, if data gives a community a range from studios to 3-bedroom units.
Right.
If you do an average of 1,000 square feet per unit.
And the only thing they really care about is whether or not we have 3 bedrooms, right?
The only thing that, no, they're looking to a specific project. The only thing.
No, I'm not looking at any, I'm just asking what the state's asking.
This, okay, yeah, the legislation asks us to put zoning in place to allow multifamily by
Mhm.
right
Mhm.
in certain areas of town. DHCD, in order to comply with federal fair housing, any of the non-age restricted units should be available for families, meaning we should have a range of
Okay.
But-
types of units,
but-
including 3 bedrooms.
But is
The
that,
recommendation is 10%, a minimum of 10%.
oh, so there's a recommendation?
DHCD requires a minimum of 10%.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. that would-
Yeah.
the better way
And
to put it.
because of that 10%, that's one of the reasons why I thought, well, if this is part of their calculation, perhaps they can also assist with that. So just thought I'd ask.
Yep, I understand. Yeah.
And finally, there was a meeting last week that I unfortunately had to miss, the Donuts with Your Delegate session. Is there anything that came out of that meeting from our state legislators?
Actually, Bartlett was sitting in on that one as well.
Oh, good.
That was, so the Assabet Regional Housing Consortium that helps the town with our complying with, what am I trying to say? Some of the work that we need to do, monitoring affordable units in town. And they're who we call when we have detailed questions about affordable housing. And they do some of the monitoring work for the town. And they run by meetings about every other month where staff and interested people on housing trusts, et cetera, get together and talk about what's going on in the town for housing and give each other ideas. Anyway, sorry. They pulled together a Donuts with Your Delegates Zoom session, and several of the state representatives and Senator Eldridge were present. Each community was able to share what was going on with housing and affordable housing in their community, and we got input from the delegates on some of the work that they're hoping to do in the legislature. I did ask, how can communities and the legislature work together to meet, some of the state's goals for housing choice, and they, seem to agree that, keep talking, keep communicating. So the town should let the legislators know, what it is we're looking for.
I've got to ask, how can you get donuts over Zoom? Because if it's possible, I want to get in on that.
Had we figured that part out of it, we
Okay.
would have been better off, I think.
Everybody just needs to go to Ruby's beforehand, that's
Yeah.
all.
Oh, there you go.
So those are the questions I had. I think this is really great, especially that you get to be so involved.
I thought it was a very good session, good chance to talk and hear what's going on at the legislative level.
So with regard to the fair housing, will that apply to the non-age restricted units at 550 King?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say another way to ask that question is, does Wilson need to comply with federal fair housing?
Okay.
Okay, now the select board has met with Sal of the Lapoli Company at their last planning board meeting, so we will be discussing Shattuck Street, everything we'll be discussing up there on our meeting. It's all out in the open, so, not out in the open, it's all out there, so.
There's a project page for the senior center that I think people should look at. I mean, they apparently have a design. I don't know how that happened, but.
Yeah, that got approved at town meeting, yeah, about time.
Well, you don't really, I heard that the money was sort of, it was approved, but does anyone really know what it's gonna cost?
I thought they said it was gonna cost less than what they're asking for, and that's what the hope is.
Well, no, they came up with this wild guess of $12 million, and there's gonna be some kind of a grant that's gonna pay for part of it.
Yeah.
And that's $4 million less than building it on the slope, so
Yeah.
everybody's cheering. But it's
Well-
still, still $700 or $800 a square foot.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Um,
And I don't understand, since they're building on a slope on the new site, I don't understand. I mean, basically, the building was too big, is my reading of it. But anyway.
I don't know, they got it approved. So, anyway. All right, can we adjourn and sit here and decide if we're sticking around or leaving or whatever?
That's up to you.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn. 'Cause it
I
doesn't make-
second.
Doesn't make sense to have a blank screen for everybody. All those in favor of adjourning till the 12th and reconvening again signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Great.
And our sincerest gratitude